Yo, my mic. Yo, what the fuck? Hold on. Is my mic like tripping?
It sounds cool to us.
Hold on. There's something going on.
Marv, who's gonna say the opening statement first? Like the
Yo.
opening. Yo.
Yo, my mic is absolutely fried. 1 second.
You sound fine.
Like I can. There's an echo for me.
Oh.
Just unplug it. Just use your phone.
Okay. Hold on.
Battle of Nagi victims. All right.
Okay. Can you let Primus up?
Naji victims. Didn't Sai and Loki respectively cook Naji?
Pretty much.
Yeah,
Pretty
Loki
much.
stopped Naji's shot and Sai Jewel past Naji. They both cooked them, actually.
Yes, Prime to say hello.
Yo.
Yo.
Okay. Do we start with like opening statements?
Yeah, who's gonna give this first?
It's up to you. I can give it if you want, but you can. Give it.
Okay. Do you want to just do like a coin flip?
Sure.
Someone get a coin flip.
I'm not doing it. If I just do it, that's not on my phone. People are not to believe me when I say what it is. That's how, sadly.
Okay, hold on. Let me turn my camera on.
I can do it, but I don't know if you guys are to believe me or what coin it lands on.
Coin flip. Okay, I pick heads. Marv?
Okay. So if it's heads, you go first.
Yeah, if it's heads, I go first.
Okay. Sure.
What the? Oh my god! It's
Right,
switched
that's
to
not how any meeny miny mode works. How it works when it's between two people, it always goes to the other person of who it starts by. So
Huh?
talk about any meeny miny mode, but that doesn't work when it's between two people because it just always goes to the other person.
What do you mean? Oh, it's heads.
Eeny meeny miny mo, try to tether by the toe. And if you do it like that, but it's only between two people, it just always goes to the other person that doesn't start the song.
Well, I don't. Okay, well, I don't know about that, but the coin flip, I just did it, and Marv, did you see it? It was heads.
It was heads. So you start.
Yeah.
Okay. Sure.
All right. So my first claim. So my main claim, which I'll have the evidence to back up later, but like my main claim is that Loki's a better player than Sai because he has feats that get him to the best in the world, and that is better than any feat that we've seen from Sai. Sai doesn't have those world best feats.
Is that it?
That's the main claim. Yeah, that's the main claim.
Okay. Yeah, my main claim is that most of like Loki's feats and statements are just going to be misinterpreted or mistranslations and aren't actually going to get him to these crazy levels that most people have him have, and that Say does scale to like this like pro level tier.
Okay. So I guess I'll bring my evidence first, right?
Okay.
Sure. Okay. So my first evidence for Loki being such a good player is that he is the dominating striker in the strongest team in in the top 5 strongest leagues. So that's a big massive feat for Loki.
Can
And
you,
another one.
can you show me that?
Yeah. I'll show you. Look at my camera. So do you see where it says your instruction won't come from me? You'll be learning from those top teams dominating strikers.
Yeah, it's fine. I don't think this necessarily like has to mean that it's going to be like the non U20 versions.
Oh, okay. So like the statement now is that whether or not Loki plays for under 20 or pro, right?
Yeah, I think that like top teams is just going to be in regard to like the prestige of the club. Like for example, we know like Real Madrid is going to be not currently, but like we know
No. I understand that. Okay. Yes, the top teams are in reference to how strong they are, but like so. What you want to put in contest is whether or not Loki plays for a pro team, right? Or if he plays for under 20 team, right?
Or yeah, I want to put a question if he plays for the senior PXG team.
Okay, but like, let's take before we get into that. Let's take the example that he does play for the senior team. So would you then admit that he plays for he's the strongest player in the strongest team in the strongest league?
Sorry, huh?
So let's take. So I'll get into how he plays for a pro team, but like let's just cover for now. If he does, if I can confirm that he plays for a pro team, would you then admit to the fact that he plays for the strongest team in one of the strongest leagues and he's the strongest player, the dominating striker?
I mean, you'd have to prove he plays for PXG specifically on the pro team, not just any pro team.
I'll prove that. I just wanted to know that if I can prove that you'll concede to that, right?
I'll concede that he's like a striker for the for League One. Yes.
Okay, so this is my proof that Loki plays for the pro team. Let me turn my camera on again. Okay, so this is a big piece to the puzzle, right? Ego creates a clear distinction and defines what the under 20 players for each team are and the master strikers. And he creates a separate category for each of these players, right? And when he does this, he says within each country's wing are the members of the under 20 11, encompassing all 11 players in each team, and then separates the master strikers from that, meaning that the master strikers are separate from the under 20.
Again, can you show the statement again?
Yeah.
Within each country's wings are the members of the U2011.
I can bring another panel, by the way, as well.
Yeah, I don't think this is necessarily just gonna mean that Loki plays for U20.
Why is that?
Sorry,
Because also, let me just give a little like final piece of evidence. How if you could just zoom me up one more time.
1 sec. Yeah, put this in here real quick. There you go.
Okay, so my other pieces of evidence are also the fact that it says that you'll be participating in training alongside the club's under 20 members, defining that the under 20 members that we see in the teams are the entirety of the under 20 members. There's also the fact that it's called a subsidiary team, but mainly there's the fact that it says that they are participating in training alongside the under 20 players, yet the master strikers are said to be above them. So it says it's under the master.
Yeah, I don't see. So I don't think like any of this necessarily means that Loki's gonna play for the pro team, because I think you can just make the case that Ego knows that Loki is just gonna be like levels and levels and levels above like any LU20 PXG, and that she's gonna be qualified to be a master. Yeah, he doesn't want like Loki to just stomp like everyone out. We also know that, for example, when Ego was selecting the masters, he wanted like the world's biggest egos, and we know Loki qualifies for like having one of the world's biggest egos. So I don't think necessarily like Loki being a masters is going to necessarily mean that he isn't a U20 player.
Okay, so for your first, you have a second claim of the egos. For your first claim, where's the evidence for that?
What exactly do you like have a contention with?
Like, just repeat your first claim, and then I'll just real quick.
I said that it's not necessarily going to mean that because he plays, that because he's a master, it's going to mean that he can't, like, he does not play for U20.
So how do you counter the fact that they are playing to separate categories, clear separate categories, the under 20?
Because I think Ego can just know that Loki is just going to be significantly better than anyone on the PXG team.
How do you confirm that?
I don't need to confirm that. I'm bringing up a possibility.
I know, but like you're bringing up a possibility to my like evidence, so you need evidence to counter that and confirm that.
Hold on. No, I'm addressing your evidence, so I don't think your evidence actually proves what you're intending to prove.
Yeah, but then but like I said, you'd have to like confirm. Ego thinks that Loki is playing for under 20, but he's so good I can play him as a master striker. You have to confirm where that is.
No, I don't. Okay, so no, you're misunderstanding my claim. I'm not making the claim that like this is going to be the case. I'm just making the case that your like interpretation of a statement is just going to be that, like an interpretation. And I have no reason to grant that interpretation over any other interpretation. For example, like Ego could just think that Loki is too good for the Q20 PSG team.
I don't really think it was an interpretation. I think it's just clear that like if we look at how the sentence is structured, that the under 20 players and the master strikers are playing to two separate categories. Like I don't think that's an interpretation. That's just literally right there on the screen that they are playing to separate categories.
Yeah, no, that's fine. I agree that they're separate categories. I just don't necessarily like. I don't see where the inference is that because they are in separate categories, that like automatically means that Loki doesn't play for the U20 team. Because again, I brought up the possibility that Ego can just think that Loki's just way too good to play for the PXG team, like the U20 team, and we know that he is because he's just gonna like steamroll. What's it called? He's just gonna steamroll. Like obviously, we saw him steamroll like early Bastard Munchin, like before Noah came on.
Right.
So I'm making the case that this doesn't necessarily mean that Loki is gonna play for the like pro scene. It can just mean that like Loki is gonna be significantly better than the 11 on PXG, like in the NEL. Because also,
go on.
Yeah, so for example, we know like also
wait, hold on. Sorry. I don't want to cut you off, but we forgot to set a timer. Like we can't keep going forever. Like there was a timer, remember?
When did we start live?
We started this argument
About like 15 minutes ago. But Marv had some like mic issues. It's like about 10 minutes now.
Okay, just set a timer for like 15 extra minutes, and then we can draw like closing statements after the 15 minutes.
Here's what we'll let it be like 5 to 10 minutes between each point, because if we harp on one point forever, it's we're not gonna get anywhere.
For sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, I think you're bringing up the case, right? That Ego makes this different classification for Loki, and he's like, oh, Loki's gonna be better than these like PSG players, and he's this master who's like insanely good, which I think is fine because I think comparatively to these U20 players, Loki is gonna be like insanely good, the same way that like if you put like say right in the
Wait, Marv, I'll give you 3 minutes. Is that okay?
Oh yeah, that's fine. I'm gonna conclude in like 20 seconds on this point, like on this.
Okay, I'll just give you 1 minute. I'll give you 1 minute then.
Okay. Yeah. So you're making the claim like because Ego makes this like he draws this comparison between the U20 players and Loki as a master, that Loki has to play for the like the non U20 team. But I don't see how that follows. I don't know why that's gonna be the case. When it can, there's other interpretations that can be brought up, such as again, Ego just thinks Loki is way too good for like the U20 like NEL team that plays for PXG to evolve Blue Lock, and that's why he set him as a master. Like for example, if you put say Toshi on the old U20 Japan team, he's gonna be like leagues and leagues and leagues above the old U20 Japan team, but like he's still gonna be like at the time a U20 player.
Okay. So my counter to that is that for that interpretation to make sense, there would have to be room within the under 20 for it to be like a assumption that Loki on the PXG team had someone replace him. So like when he's playing as a player in the under 20, that someone replaced him, right? For him to be playing as a master striker, for him to level up as a master striker. There's no like confirmation of proof of that. The only confirmation that we have is that within the PXG team and all the under 20 subsidiary teams, it says the members of the under 2011, so the like complete under 20 like team and of all 11 players. So there's no room left for like Loki to leave out and someone like be substituting in his place. Is encompassing all the under 2011 players for that team.
Yeah. Do you think that like teams in you call it football anyway? Do you think like teams in soccer are literally just 11 players and there are like no subs and no?
No, yeah, I understand. There's subs on the bench, but what I mean is He says members of the under 2011 more linking to like more linking to like the starting 11. There's also is more linking to the fact that these are the members of the under 2011 for the under 20 teams themselves for the that these are the under 2011 for.
Yeah, that's fine. So you're not really addressing my claim that Loki, not Loki. Ego can know that Loki plays for this U20 team, but he specifically sets him apart because he thinks he's too good for the NEL. Because obviously the point of the NEL is to get the Blue Lockers to evolve, and if they just get like stomped out by somebody who's like 10 times better than them, then there wouldn't be like any growth for these people. And the point of the NEL is to get this growth. So you keep saying like these. So I get what you mean, that like this is stated to be like the U20 players of the U20 players of these teams. And Ego makes a distinction with the Masters, but he never makes the distinction that the Masters aren't U20 players. And that's what I'm asking. I'm asking you to bridge that inference. I'm asking you to like give the reasoning as to why it necessarily means that this is like he's gonna not be U20.
Okay. You have 4 minutes to like just rest like this singular point before Marv makes his point.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So my thing is that I don't think you're really attacking the main premise of my point is that I think that the reason that the separation is important is because that when Ego makes a statement, he's encompassing the entirety of the relevant 11 players of the under 2011. That's what I'm saying. And if you were to say that like Loki is maybe still a part of that, you would have to say that you'd have to like find some reason to justify that he got replaced for that under 2011 to still make sense. You know what I'm saying? And like if Loki was. If we took your statement at face value and said that Loki was part of the under 20 teams, he would then also be part of the.
One second. Ban this guy.
Nice being a racist. Nice. I have your username. I'm gonna make a call out post. Have it tomorrow.
Yeah, this dude was on the other live also being racist. They just ban him, bro.
Just ban him.
I know. I remember your username now. Have a nice day. I'm gonna block you. I'm just making a call out post about you. Have a nice day.
Get that guy out of here, bro. Fucking bum.
He was on the other live too. This is so weird, bro. Just really weird. Like. Anyways, sorry, can continue, like, repeat?
Okay, so our people are saying. So I think that you're not really attacking my main point. Is that when Ego says within each country's wing are the members of the under 2011, he's encompassing the entirety of the under 2011 as a whole. So for you to make the assumption that Loki is part of the under 2011, you would have to also like explain who filled in his spot for it to be like the for it to remain under 2011, because the statement says under 2011 of the PXG team. So it says of the current PXG team, the under 2011. If Loki was part of the current under 20 PXG team, he'll be part of the under 2011. So if he got moved from there, that would now become like a under 2010 for the PXG team. But that doesn't make sense.
No, that's okay. Yeah, that was my main point. I'm saying that there aren't like only 11 players on the team, and there's like for example, current Barcelona has like 30 plus players because there's subs and other players. So I'm saying that it doesn't have to be a like a strict 11. So for example, we also know like I'm gonna use Barcelona as an example again. Like Fermin isn't starting 100% of the time. Sometimes it's like he gets subbed on for Olmo, but you can make the case that both Fermin and Olmo are part of the starting 11, even though they don't play every single game and they get subbed out for each other. So I'm making the case that when Ego says specifically that this is like the U20 11 for PXG, he can take Loki out of the equation and make him a master because he thinks he's too good to play for these 11. And then that doesn't leave the 11 with only like 10 players because teams have much more than 10 players.
Again, I understand that you have to justify who that bench is, what that bench is, and
I don't think I have to justify that because I'm not making the case that this is like I'm not saying this is the case. I'm saying this could be the case, and I'm saying that I'm not like being a weirdo and appealing top like possibility. The reason I'm saying this is because I don't think your interpretation is going to be like gonna have like any more like validity or more.
Just don't get just go.
How many
don't
fucking
give,
alt
like,
accounts do you have, bro? How pathetic is your life that you have this many alt accounts just to be fucking racist? Have a nice day.
just don't give them like any interest.
We get it, bro. Your dad beats you. It's all good. Have a nice day.
Okay, so I think the main issue with that is that my argument is saying that like for the team of PXG, for like so like not for like the bench players, is saying that for the team of PXG is referring to the 11 main players of the PXG team. I think that's relevant because it talks about like when it says you'll be participating in training alongside the club's under 20 members. Is included stuff like Kaiser, and these are like starting players. It's like regularly when it refers to like the PXG teams, it refers to starting players. But I think the most important distinction and explanation that I'm making is that when Ego says within each country's wing are the members of the under 2011, I don't think it doesn't seem that he's talking about the refined newer under 2011 in which like Loki has been taken out. He's referring to the under 2011 in general, to which like even before the new Eagles League had like the under 2011 that came into the new Eagles League, not the one that had changed up and had Loki removed.
Okay, I'll respond to that and then we move on, right? Because the timer ended.
Yeah.
Okay. So we're kind of going circular because I think the main problem is that you're saying that Ego specifically says within each country's wing are the members of the U2011. And what I am saying is that this doesn't like necessarily have to mean that Loki is excluded just because he's a master striker, because the members of the U2011. So the U2011 isn't actually like referring to 11 players because again, teams have more than 11 players. You're just talking about the PXG team that's like playing. I worded that like badly, but it's in reference to like all of the members that comprise the U2011. And my argument is that it is possible that Loki can just be removed by Ego because Ego thinks he's too good to just classify as like a main U20 player, because then he'd stomp out like the blue lockers, and the point is to evolve them. But we can conclude on that, and then who do you guys think like takes that point?
Yeah, we'll just conclude on that for now.
I feel like you guys didn't get anywhere. I feel like it's just a neutral kind of argument.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, bro. When it comes to this specific point, I feel like the main issue is here that you guys kind of really didn't necessarily agree on something specific. It's due to the fact that both of you cannot acknowledge the notion that either or of you can hold to either, like, let's say, some type of probable interpretation or some type of exact interpretation. Negz is trying to affirm that this thing is going to have some type of exact interpretation. Marv is just trying to affirm like this could be the case. There's some type of counter example that is a specific affirmation or this interpretation. But my main issue is Negz doesn't necessarily like what's the name exactly like counter it with anything specific. From what I've seen here, it's just been the same type of point like as a rebuttal.
It's
This entire
0-0 right now. None of you get the point. So
Yeah.
Marv makes this point. So Marv
Yeah.
makes this point now.
Marv makes his next point. Okay.
Like it's not necessarily progressing. I feel like.
Yeah, no, it's for sure not progressing, but it's fine. Okay, you know what? I'll just to stop like this absolute cancer fest. I'm just gonna concede that Loki plays for like pro PXG.
Alright, sure, whatever.
My main contention with that is I don't think that's gonna scale him like anywhere.
Why is that?
Is that the point you're deciding to make for the next 10 minutes?
Yeah, we can. No, we'll do 5 minutes and then we can do another point after that.
Okay.
Okay, so I don't mean it literally scales him nowhere. It probably scales him above like a lot of U20 players. But the problem is I think Blue Lock is scaled via game level, and we see this in PXG, where Isagi says like when all 11 players on each team are playing at such a high level, the same players that scored 1 or 2 goals in previous games aren't going to be enough. So I think this just draws credence to the fact that with every like collective of 11 players on each team, the game level rises, and as the game level rises, it takes like more skill, like better designs, better chemical reactions, etc., to score goals in these games. And I don't think Loki has any feat of scoring or doing anything impressive in one of like these games. Is going to be like at a higher level than I'm going to have like say.
Okay, so then you so hold on. So why do you think that like Loki's then why do you think that Loki's pro games is not enough for that then? Like why do you think that Loki's pro games are not enough?
No, I think it's fine. I just need to like for example, we can't say that so I can grant, so I already conceded to the fact that I can grant that he plays for the pro team. I'm just asking you to provide clarification on where exactly this is going to scale him. Just playing for the pro team. Besides this, like having no feats, we don't know if he's. Sorry.
We have feats. Like that's the whole point I was going to bring you. Okay, so we confirmed that Loki plays for the pro team of the PXG team, right? The definition of what a master striker is that they are the top team's dominating striker. So Loki is the dominating striker for the pro team of the PXG. There's also the fact that every single team that we see in the NEL is confirmed to be the strongest team in that league. So Loki's feat are 3 of them. The first being that he's the top rising star in the pro team, in the France league. The second being that he's the dominating striker in the PXG team. The third being that the PXG team that he plays for is the strongest of the teams in the France league, which is one of Europe's top 5 leagues.
Yeah, that's fine. I still don't think that gets him anywhere because the main problem is going to be that he can be the dominating striker of the strongest team, but this is not necessarily going to mean that he's the strongest striker in the league. For example, if how do I say this? So if we put like Messi on fucking like I don't know, like Liverpool, like prime Messi on like Liverpool, right? You could say like Messi's going to be the best winger in the Prem, but you're not necessarily going to say that like Liverpool is going to be the strongest team in the Prem. So like Loki can be the dominating striker for PXG, but this isn't going to mean that he's the best striker in the entire league.
Okay, so the rebuttal and answer I have to that is can you introduce a player that we've known in Blue Lock from the France league that is stronger than Loki then?
Okay, no, so this is kind of the main problem is that you keep putting burdens on me that I never claimed. So I never claimed that I never made the affirmation. I never made the positive claim that there is going to be some player better than Loki. I'm saying that your proof doesn't fulfill the burden of proving that Loki is going to be the best player in the French league. I'm asking you to provide like evidence that's going to like prove that Loki is going to be the best player in the French league, because I explained to you how him being the best player on the best team or the best striker on the best team doesn't mean that he's the best player in the league itself.
Well, okay, he's also called the top rising star. Does that like how do you go against that?
Yeah, out of the criterion of rising stars, he's going to be the best one. I don't think that's going to get him above like anyone.
It explicitly says the top rising star with the most attention from soccer.
Yeah. So that's restricting the criterion of what they're talking about to rising stars. So Loki is going to be the top rising star, but you'd have to like give this comparatively to other rising stars. For example, Noah isn't going to be a rising star. So if we say like Loki's the best rising star, it's not going to get him over Noah because Noah isn't a rising star. And it's also specifically indexed to the attention that he's receiving for soccer fans. So in the Raws, he's actually called Supernova, which is in context to like a young player who's receiving tons and tons and tons of attention. And the actual top level thing that's indexed to is the top supernova. So it's saying out of all of these rising stars and these supernovas, the one who is receiving the most attention from soccer fans worldwide is going to be Loki. So I still don't think you've met your burden of proving that Loki is going to be like the best player in the French league.
I think that attention can still be like directly correlated with skill, because for you to be getting a bunch of attention, you need to be extremely skilled and you need to be making like extremely insane plays within the France league. But like even if you can't prove that Loki is the number one, you can at least suggest the fact that Loki is a top tier within the France league. Like you have to.
Yeah, I don't think that follows either.
But okay, we're about to end, but like, why do you think that he can't be a top tier in the French league?
Okay, let
me say one more thing, because I feel like this is still very important that like France's team is Paris X-Gen is is confirmed to be the strongest team within the France league, right? And sure. Loki is the dominating strikers. Dominating strikers are implied in Blue Lock to be the strongest players and the leading players of their team, meaning that Loki is a integral player, a very important player, and arguably a leading player to being one of the strongest teams in the French league.
Well, okay. First, I want damn. Okay, first, I'm gonna want like justification for why the striker necessarily is going to be like the best player on the team in every single context, because that's what you're like. You have to prove that for your conclusion to follow.
All right, let Negz have one final statement, and then we'll let Marv. It's your turn to just make an upscale for Saka. We've just been slowly basically going off Loki for now.
Well, no, I think I kind of made arguably my final statement. I'm just gonna hear like Marv's response to it because he was responding now.
All right.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't think that like your conclusion is necessarily going to follow from that, because you'd have to prove that. And then second of all, like again, my main problem is that Loki can be this dominating striker, but he has no feats of like game level. And as we already established, game level is going to be what scales you in Gulak. So for example, Bunny scoring in the Copa del Rey final, I think the Copa del Rey final is just going to be the highest game level that we've seen in the series, and I don't think Loki has a feat of performing that well at a higher game level.
Okay, can I make one last statement then?
Sure.
Okay, so you asked for a feat of Loki performing at that high level. I think that automatically, by Loki being a dominating striker in that team, is giving him a feat of playing at that high level. Because for him to be a dominating striker, he needs to be outperforming other strikers within that league. And as you've just said, the Copa del Rey final is the is the highest level of play, right, that we have like seen on screen. But like obviously, like I'm just saying, like Loki's like off screen. But Loki being the dominating striker means that he is obviously the strongest striker because he's dominating. He's outperforming his other team players on the strongest team. So he's outperforming the other strikers that are on the strongest team, and then that would obviously like straight away mean that he's scoring goals against opponents within the French league.
Okay, I'll respond to this, and then we can like conclude on this point.
Yeah.
Okay, so so you claim that like Loki is going to be like performing at these high levels, and that's fine. I can grant that. I just don't see, because the main purpose is obviously going to like this is going to be like in retrospect. The main purpose is just going to be to get Loki to these Copa del Rey final levels, and I'm saying that you can say that Loki scales to this pro level or whatever, but I'm saying this isn't going to get him to the say, or where I'm going to scale say, and I don't think these pro levels are necessarily going to scale anywhere without having a proper grasp on what the game level specifically is going to be in those games. Because I think, for example, like a friendly match so a friendly match in League One between two fodder teams, I don't think is necessarily going to be like a higher game level than like a U20 World Cup final. So I don't think that you've gone Loki like anywhere. And then that's going to be my contention. I don't think you got him to scale anywhere. Okay. Maybe we can conclude here.
Yeah.
Promise, I'll let you decide. I'll let you decide. This will solely be you this time, bro.
Okay, I'm fine with this. I'm not gonna lie. I'm gonna have to give this to Marv because the main issue is here. It's rather the quantification that's gonna be the issue on your side next, because Marv himself is putting in question the quantification for the game level that Loki's gonna be approaching. As he's you haven't really delivered any type of contentions towards the game level assertion, because he himself granted the notion that he could be operating on some type of high game level, but it's just the quantification in itself isn't gonna be exact, or you can't necessarily prove that it's gonna be like comparative to, like, let's say the Copa del Rey finals. That's the entire idea. That's why I'm gonna have to give this point to like Marv.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll be right back. I'll still be listening.
Yeah.
Okay, so-
If you feel my judgment is like contentious, you can discuss it. Like, it's fine.
I mean, I'll just give it. Like, I'm not gonna like go and argue about it.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, so now do I move on to like scaling say?
Yeah, we can move
but,
to
but actually, wait. I'll just say I'll finish. I'm not gonna lie. I have this shit on my notes.
Huh?
What do you say?
I've been writing y'all debating my notes, bro.
Okay. Okay. So, okay, as for say, I just think that he's going to be called by the editor's note in, I believe it's 3. Hold on. 1 second, I'm getting the chapter. Yo, how or premise? Do you know when Bunny? When Say is like
307.
looking, he's like looking mad at the screen.
Yeah, it's 307. End of 307.
307. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. So okay, at the end of 307, at the editor's note, the editor calls Say Bunny's formidable. Oh, sorry, Bunny Say's formidable rival, and I think that rival is just going to imply some sort of relativity. And also with the new magazine statements that we got, Say's called like the world's best midfielder, and I think this is just going to scale him to the absolute like highest game level possible in Blue Lock.
Okay. Is How here? I'll give him a 5-minute timer.
He's not here, but if you want, I can have a timer on my own.
Yeah, you can just get a timer. Okay, so the first contention I have with that is the point of the editor's note saying that Bunny is a formidable rival to Sai. First of all, within the direct translation, I don't have it up, but we can always like just go through it. Like the translation directly says Kyoteki, and that translates to formidable opponent, not rival. And second of all, the only mention of rival and the context of rival within the page is Isagi. So I'm gonna turn on my camera so I can show you now, but like he can't really like the guy's not really here to zoom me up. But the context that is being used is that Isagi is the one who brings up the word of rivals. So when we see Isagi bring up the word of rivals, it means that the context is not really applying to Sai versus Bunny. It's really applying to Sai versus Bunny as the team of Spain versus Japan. And I feel like that is just a mistranslation by like a leaker, because those are not official translations.
Hold on. Yeah. Let's address the translation first. Can you show me where it says like it doesn't say rival?
Okay, well, like I said, I don't have it, so like we're gonna have to see yours. Like, where do you get it from?
Okay. 1 second. Should be in. Oh fuck! Yo, where's? Hold on. It should be in Blue Lock Lab. Did this dude delete the server, bro? Are we serious? Okay, now it's here. It's gonna take a little while to find this. Just give me 1 sec.
Okay, I found my translation.
We can just go over yours.
But it was with ChatGPT though, so I got like, hold on, give me a second.
That's fine. You know, okay, I don't. So we have like 3 minutes left. I'll just grant that it doesn't say rival. I'm just gonna go off the fuck, what is it called? The magazine
Opponent.
statement.
Yes, it's his opponent, not rival. So yeah, Bunny and Sai are not defined as rivals or
Yeah,
equals within
that's fine. That's fine. Okay, so I'm just gonna go.
I'll give you guys
the-
2 more points to do, by the way, after this. I'll give you guys 2 more points. Like, two
Sure.
more
Sorry?
like points to make. Like, 2 more points to make
Yeah, okay.
after this.
So for the magazine statement, I just think Say is going to be called the world's best midfielder, which is going to get him above like all of these midfielders that play at a high level in finals games, such like the Champions League finals, World Cup finals, Copa del Rey finals, etc. Which is just going to mean that Say is going to scale to this like highest game level that we've seen in Blue Lock, and I don't think Loki is going to scale there.
Okay, so this is the biggest issue with the whole argument you made is that you brought up the magazine statement. I didn't make a post on this, but like the magazine statement is not officially licensed material from Kodansha, Kanashiro, or Nomura. The magazine statement comes from a magazine called Da Vinci, something like that, right?
Vinci.
Yeah, Vinci, owned by something like Kodokawa, right? And the information, Kodokawa. The information within it is not authorized or proved to be correct by Kanashiro himself. The only link given to the only link of Kanashiro that Kanashiro has to this what's it called? This magazine is that he was featured in an interview. However, it does not explicitly say that he was involved within the guide that was created of these statements.
Okay. Yeah. So first of all, my main problem with that is that I don't think that it like. Okay. So do you know what an argument from ignorance is?
No, go on.
You said hold on.
Yeah, go. What's the argument for ignorance?
Okay. So an appeal to ignorance is just going to be a fallacy where something's going to be claimed to be false just specifically because there's not evidence for it, and I think that's the fallacy you're making here. Specifically, I don't think it has to be explicitly stated that Kaneshiro approved this thing, because this thing can just be inferred from something like copyright laws. So, for example, in Japan, if you want to use somebody else's work, such as a magazine or an interview, you have to get approval from the company that is going to be licensing this officially. And I think that it wouldn't make sense for Kaneshiro and I don't know the company who licenses the company who licenses Blue Lock to allow this other company to post like information that's not going to be reliable, specifically when they know that like the audience and the main demographic that's going to read this magazine is going to be Blue Lock fans. They're going to want this information to be like accurate, and thus I don't see why the fact that it's not going to be stated, like, because it's not going to be stated explicitly, that it still can't be reliable, because I think it's just going to be like overwhelmingly more likely than there was some sort of like conversation or approval by Kaneshiro and the licensing company for Blue Lock, even if it isn't directly stated.
So my final contention of only issue that statement is that the only part that you properly said that is that Kodawa and Kanashiro may have given the permission to create the for the magazine to be created, but it still doesn't prove it still doesn't, like, everything else he did is not like anything concrete. It's just assumptions. You assumed that like maybe Kanashiro can have a conversation, or maybe Kanashiro can approve, or maybe is in their line of thinking. The issue with that is that this is non-canon, not manga material. So, for example, things can still be like officially licensed and contain misinformation. For example, the Jujutsu Kaisen anime, where we saw a glimpse of Ryu's domain, right? But that's not confirmed by the manga. That's not confirmed by Gege. So it's not officially manga canon material. So just because something is officially licensed, not official. So just because something is approved to be released does not mean that it contains factually correct material until we have the complete confirmation that it's factually correct material from the owners of the story.
Okay, let me address this and then we can just conclude if you want.
Yeah.
Okay, so my claim was never that, like, I never claimed that this was like a fact that like has to happen. My claim was that it's overwhelmingly more likely that this is going to be the case, because Kaneshiro and Nomura wouldn't want random information that they know their demographic is going to read to just be blatantly wrong and contradict the story, because like, again, not only was there an interview done with this company to get information out to the Blue Lock audience, and not only did Kaneshiro and Nomura know that they were going to publish this magazine, they knew that Blue Lock readers are going to read this magazine, and they would obviously, I think it is in their best interest to make sure that this information is going to be reliable. And yeah, like, I just think this information is going to be reliable because it's overwhelmingly more likely that it is, due to something like of the opposite being disutil towards like publishing a manga. And that's just going to be my closing statement.
Okay, judges.
I personally believe that until we get official translations for that guidebook, we can't really say it's concrete evidence, because in that it says that Kaiser's the best U20 player, even though we see that translations get wrong all the time. Apparently, in that Kaiser best U20 statement, there's a Nakagura, which is a little dot, which means it grounds the statement, so it means one of the best U20 players.
Correct.
So,
I can show you guys.
Translations are wrong all the time.
Yeah, I have like 2 Japanese speakers that confirm that the Nakagura is specifically indexed to the entire 2-part statement, which calls him one of the best U20 players.
Yeah, I believe that. But what I'm trying to say is that, like, we see that translations are wrong all the time, so I don't really 100%. Not. I won't say, like, I mildly agree to the side statement, but I'm not sure if it's like 100% a thing. If that makes sense.
Okay, so while I would be happy to take the point if you agree with that, how I think it's more like fair to Marv if you took like the argument that I presented, because I actually didn't really mention.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that Marv is losing. I'm just saying that when it comes to that specific argument, it's not the most perfect thing to go off of.
Yeah, I think. Well, okay. So what can I say that name on live? Am I gonna get banned? That's kind of like okay. Anyways, I think what
Which one?
N3GZZ is saying.
It's Negz. It's Negz, like negative diff.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I think what he's saying is that you're sort of like addressing like the evidence itself instead of addressing who provided like the better arguments. And I think that
I'll let Primus do this one.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay. Hold on.
Is this dude a fucking Chon alt, bro? No, there's no shot.
What?
Yo, hold on. Kaizen, Chon. Hold on. Okay, you can.
No, that's more, bro.
Oh my god.
But yeah, I'm not gonna lie, bro. When it comes to this point, based off like what I heard, and you can correct me if I'm wrong. So basically, the entire point is Negz is saying that it's not officially licensed, or you can't necessarily confirm that it's officially licensed. Marv is saying that for it to actually be like put out or sold within Japan, it has to be like approved by Kaneshiro in terms of rights. And we're saying there's a overwhelmingly larger likelihood that Kaneshiro is like supervising this thing on the basis that he wants like concrete, proper information to be put out from the magazine. I'm unsure. Did Negz like offer some type of contention to that specific point, or?
Oh, to the argument that Kaneshiro is what's it called, involved in the licensing?
No, the likelihood point, because he's appealing to the fact that it's overwhelmingly more likely that he'd supervise this thing on the basis that he'd want factual information to be put out, and he knows that Blue Lock readers are gonna like utilize this thing or like read this thing and use it as some type of source of information.
Okay, so my counter to that is that I think that even if you make that interpretation, it's still like concrete that like whenever I read everything from the magazine, from his description, right? Whenever I read everything from the magazine from his description, that even though that it was granted access to licensing, it still wasn't the case that like, so like let's say manga authors in general, they don't always go through like every single nitty bitty thing and make sure it's like factually correct, because this is a singular specific statement of Saitoshi being the strongest midfielder. For you to say that like Kaneshiro like governed this, you'd have to like also go with the assumption that Kaneshiro read through every single line, Kaneshiro approved every single like sentence, every single word, because like I said, like I drew with the Jujutsu Kaisen example, like Gege doesn't go out of his way to like confirm like, oh, this is manga kind of material when they were talking about reused domain and showing reused domain, but like because that's like such a small thing, right? But kind of like I said, you'd have to prove that like Kaneshiro is like going through every single moment and like confirming every single little thing, because this is like one statement of Sai being the strongest midfielder.
Marvel, what was your contention to that?
So my contention was to that was that first the like JJK point isn't necessarily going to be analogous, because in the JJK point, it's going to be like specifically an anime that's going to be outputted through an animation and licensing company, and Gege isn't going to have like creative rights over the anime specifically unless that's in the contract, whereas I don't think that this is going to be the case for this interview specifically, because the entire point of the interview, the entire point of the magazine being released is to provide information to the readers, which is why it's paired with an interview. That's why I think it's going to be more likely that Kaneshiro is going to read this through and make sure that the information is actually valid, because the purpose of this magazine is to give information.
Okay. Did your talk like go further than that, or did you guys just conclude after that?
Yeah, we just concluded after that.
Oh, I'm not gonna lie. Then I'd have to give it to Marv then, based off that, because Negs, he kind of like let him like end, or like rather conclude this argument with like a contention like that already like defeats like yours towards like his entire like affirmation.
Sure.
How do you agree or do you disagree?
I'm letting Primus do all the points. I'm just putting the restrictions right now.
But we Loki like we said
we
before the
voted.
debate that judges had to agree
Yeah,
for
like, yeah, we had like
I'm
two
cool with
judges.
it. All right, I'll let Marv get one more point, and then we'll do another coin flip, and then maybe then they do another point, and then we'll end it there.
Okay.
Okay, wait. Sorry, you guys like. So the point is gonna go to like Marv, right? So like Sai is gonna like have the
Yeah.
statement.
Yep.
Okay.
So Marv
Okay.
gets one more point, and then we'll do a coin flip, and then either Negz or Marv makes another point about Loki or side, and we'll end it there.
Okay. Yeah, so I'm just gonna restate my main premise. So if granting the statement as established by me winning the point, then it's just gonna be the case that Sai being called the world's best midfielder is gonna grant him credence to being able to play at these absolute highest levels of play that we've seen in Blue Lock. Loki wasn't scaled in this dialectic to these higher levels of play, and thus Sai is gonna scale above Loki via scaling to these higher levels of play.
That's your argument. Okay, so I think that Loki can, even if you like, because we had to grant the strongest midfield statement. Even if you do grant that, I think that there's evidence within the manga of Loki scaling up to these like high levels of play, especially like world class levels of play. Because I think there's like multiple evidence. So like there's the fact that he's part of the World Five, who is consistently called the world's best strikers, and there's also the fact that out of all of the world's best strikers and all of the master strikers, Loki is considered the closest threat to Noah, who is the number one striker.
I forgot to put the timer, so we'll just start 5 minutes from now. Then.
Okay. So as for so yeah, I don't think you're really addressing my main contention, and that's that regardless of Loki being called like one of the best in the world or whatever, is that he has no feats and no statements of scoring or performing at a game level that's going to get him to say his level. And for example, you saying that he stated to be like world class and whatnot. So Sai actually has the most world class statements in the entire manga, and he said it to be world class like 4 times. And I think this is all just going to add consistency to the fact that Sai actually is going to be the world's best midfielder. And I think the singular like period world's best midfielder just has to scale to the absolute highest level of play possible in the series. And I don't think you've gotten like Loki to the absolute highest level of play possible in the series.
Okay, so why is the midfielder statement the strongest, highest possible level of play, and not like maybe like the striker could be the highest possible level of play? Like, why is it specific to midfielder?
Because you haven't said that Loki like is the best striker in the world. You just said he's amongst there, maybe possibly via the World 5, which I actually never granted. I still want justification for why playing for the World 5 is going to mean that he's among the best like strikers in the world. But even if I did grant that, I don't think that's necessarily going to get him to the highest levels of play, because you can be like the 5th best striker in the world and still fall just short under the highest level of play, because we know in Blue Lock specifically, it isn't going to be like analogous or like it's not going to have like symmetry to IRL where like these players can play games. We know that every single recursive game and increase in like level of play is just going to be like an exponential like order of magnitude level gap between players.
Okay, so my contention to that is that there could be like the possibility of that, like even if Sai is like the world's best midfielder, he will still be behind like the top 5 world's best strikers. You know, like just because Sai is the world's best midfielder does not mean that he's better than like every one of these other world class like world's best strikers. That just means that he's put in a singular category of being the world's best midfielder, and puts him in like, yes, it puts him in like a high level of play. But then if I can like make the argument that Loki is above the like world class strikers, then that would mean that like there's no real confirmation that like Sai as a best midfielder is better than Loki as a best like striker.
Okay, so you didn't really understand my argument for Sai, and it's that so in the highest level of play possible in the series, at least so far, because obviously we know like the end of series like Isagi and everyone are gonna have like be higher than the current like highest level, but out of the current highest level, I'm saying that Itoshi Sai can play at the highest level and is good at the highest level of play possible in the series currently, because he's the world's best midfielder, and via like the world's highest level having 11 players, which includes a midfielder, Sai is going to be playing at this absolute highest level of play, whereas you haven't justified Loki playing at this absolute highest level of play. You've justified him playing for a pro scene, that's fine. But for example, again, I don't think like a friendly match in like La Liga is going to scale to like the Copa del Rey final in terms of like game scaling, neither IRL nor in Blue Lock. So I don't think you've justified Loki scaling to the absolute highest level of play. You just scaled him playing like professionally.
Okay, so before I even get to like the whole Loki like best level play, right? There's like an issue that you assume that like the strongest striker statement like from Da Vinci, even if we assume it to be like, because the debate is already over, so even if you consider that to be correct, right? That you interpret it to be that Sai is the confirmed world's best striker from that statement, and it's not possibly like Sai is just is his dream to be the world's best striker, because within the context of the story, it doesn't make sense for that to be the case.
I mean, we already granted that, but
no, we granted that the statement. We granted that the statement is a valid, but like the interpretation of the statement is still up for contention.
Okay, so what do you think is going to be like the valid interpretation, or like a separate interpretation?
So the valid interpretation would be that the statement is referring to Sai's dream and not his current level of skill, because it wouldn't make sense for Sai to be the world's strongest midfielder if it's his dream to be the world's strongest midfielder and the world's best midfielder. And it's also the context applied. Hold on, there's also the context applied that like it speaks about, within the statement it speaks consistently about his brother Rin, comparing it to his brother Rin. So if Sai was being the world's strongest midfielder, it wouldn't be a necessary thing to add on that Sai is surpassing Rin. Oh.
Well, I don't think the Rin statement means anything, because it's not going to be like mutually exclusive. He can surpass Rin and still be the world's best midfielder. There's no like problem there. But as for the other contention, the statement doesn't say he wants to become the world's best midfielder. It says he wants to become the world's best as a midfielder. So it's indexed to the world's best, which is going to be player. So he wants to become the world's best player as a midfielder, which is also backed up. So we know his dream changed from like Snowy Night, where he says he wants to become the world's best midfielder, which is going to be like 2 years ago or more in Blue Lock time, versus by the U20 game, he says he just wants to become the world's best, not the world's best midfielder, which I think is going to correlate with the statement saying he wants to become the world's best as a midfielder. Also, the statement is going to be objective about the current state of affairs in Blue Lock, and it's going to have a more objective tone, whereas the like say statement, even if I were to grant it, is just going to be about his subjective interpretation of the state of affairs, and isn't going to be as objective as something like a magazine statement.
Okay, so my counter to that is that you'd have to justify how the dream is specifically about saying that he wants to be the world's best as a midfielder rather than just being the world's best midfielder, because the statement itself at the very end says that instead he aims to be the world's best midfielder. And when the statement says aims, is speaking of a future tense. It's not speaking of a current tense.
Okay, so you didn't really understand. I said that the statement doesn't say he wants to become the world's best midfielder. I said the statement says he wants to become the world's best as
yeah, you'd have to justify. That's what I'm saying. You'd have to justify where it says the world's best as a midfielder, because in the context of Blue Lock, there's times where like the world's best and the world's best striker are put into the same sentences. You know, there are times where these things are like aligned. So and again, even if you wanted to make the distinction of like world's best as a midfielder, the sentence says instead he aims to become the world's number one midfielder. So you'd have to like explain where in there the distinction is that he's not trying to become the world's best.
You keep begging the question because you keep saying that he's aiming to become the world's number one midfielder, when that's what's in question. I'm saying that what he's saying actually, or what the magazine is saying, is that he aims to become the world's best as a midfielder, and you keep reverting back like without proving it that the statement says become the world's number one midfielder, when I'm saying that's not what it says at all. It says the world's best as a midfielder, and that's what's in contention right now. Also, let's just do 2 more points and then we can conclude, because I have to go in 5 minutes.
Yeah, I think the disagreement is about a translation thing, actually. Like that's the main disparity there. You guys have to like resolve that.
So I gotta say that Sai's current goal actually isn't to become the world's best midfielder. It's actually not his current goal.
Yup.
It's not. I was waiting for you guys to finish that, but it's actually not his current goal.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of what I said. Where we know that his goal in U20 changes, and instead of saying that he wants to become the world's best midfielder, he said he wants to become the world's best. Period.
Let's read this one.
Yeah.
To win the Champions League.
Yeah, and I think the midfielder statement specifically is just going to be indexed to Snowy Night, which is like 2 years ago in below time, and I think 2 years is plenty of time for Say to get better. So if you go, I think it's chapter 110. You can see where Sai says to Sendo, "My dream is to be or I have nothing but I want nothing but to be the world's best." And he doesn't attribute it to midfielder. He just says the world's best. And I think the statement, because it says the world's best as a midfielder and not the world's best midfielder, that it's gonna be fine and it's not gonna be like contradicted by the story.
My counter to that is that world's best and world's best and world's best midfielder can still like mean the exact same thing within the context of the story. I think that that's the case because there are players who have been attributed with the world's best title when they are just the world's best striker. You see what I'm saying? So I feel like the title of world's best, it doesn't always mean like the absolute singular only world's best. You can be like considered the world's best if you're the world's best in a singular category. So for example, like the World 5 being considered the world's best strikers, but they aren't better like than Noah. So like when it comes to like let's say like Pablo, right? He was known for his like he's the world's best at free kicks, but he isn't just only called the world's best at free kicks. He's called as a collective the world's best. So the world's best and world's best midfielder can still mean the same thing.
Okay, so I don't really think you like. We can conclude right after I say this, if you want to say one more point, that's fine. But I don't really think that attacked anything because you brought up these other examples of like Pablo being stated to be the best world's free kick taker, and that's just going to be like one category. But that was never my claim. My claim is that it says he wants to become the world's best. That's one part of the statement that's attached and indexed to as a player. So he wants to become the world's best. And then that's going to be consistent with what he says in chapter 4 and in chapter 110, where he never indexes his his dream of wanting to be the world's best to a midfielder. He only indexes it to midfielder in Snowy Night, which is like 2 years ago in Blue Lock time. And both in the magazine statement and in the manga, the statement just says, I want to be the world's best, not midfielder, best. And I'm using the magazine statement to fortify my interpretation that the world's best in the manga isn't going to be in reference to midfielder because the magazine statement says that he wants to become the world's best, period, stop there, as a midfielder. And I don't think that's going to be like mutually exclusive. I don't think there's going to be like an asymmetry there. He can be the world's best midfielder, but not be the world's best player. And I can just conclude there. That was my closing statement.
Okay, if that's his closing statement, I think I would just like leave that there. That's his closing statement, and I'll just close my statement too.
Okay. So how in Primus, is it Primus or Primus?
Primus, bro.
Okay. Who do you guys think took like the points?
I think both are solid arguments. I'm letting Primus just do the points now. I'm just making sure that the conversation is like not spreading misinformation, basically.
Okay. I mean, realistically, I'm gonna have to like side with what's his name, Marv on this specific point because when it comes to Negz's specific contention, it's I guess it kind of falls apart index to I guess the grammatical sense there, because it says the world's best, not a world's best. Like let's say I can be one of the world's best or a world's best, but that doesn't mean like follow within like the specific dream of being the world's best. That's realistically like the grammatical sense contention. Also, I'll debate you later, but yeah, I'm gonna have to side with like Marv on that, bro.
Okay, how do you agree with that?
Sure, why not?
Okay.
We'll do that one more.
One more point.
Oh, I know you gotta go.
We can continue tomorrow.
Yeah, if you guys want to continue, you can continue tomorrow.
Well, hold on, I might be able to stay. Give me 1 minute. Just give me 1 minute.
Yeah.
Kaiser, bro, why are you telling me to not continue? If I said we can, I get what you're saying, bro, but don't be demanding to not continue, bro. If people want to continue, they can continue.
Okay, I can stay, but I low-key just want to conclude it here, and I don't even really want to continue tomorrow because it's just gonna keep like being the same thing. So I think that I'm just gonna make the claim that it's going to be like impossible to continue this debate on this point without further circularity, and that the debate is just essentially going to break down to this is going to be like the final step of the pyramid, which is going to be Psy plays at the highest game level and Loki does not. And I think that's the current justification that's in question. And I think that there's nowhere to go from here. Like there's literally nowhere to go from here. So I think that the judges just have to conclude on who won these points and then just conclude on who won the debate.
I mean, cool.
Okay, you guys want me to get into judging?
Yeah.
Sure.
Okay. I guess I'll go by point. I guess here, the main thing is, what's name? Yeah, okay. So based off what Marv said and what the statement alludes to within Marv's interpretation, and I guess how we follow through from that, is this necessarily that Sai is going to be the world's best midfielder? World's best midfielder entails that you have to be competing at this highest possible game level, like UCL, World Cup, etc., etc. He'd have to be operating on this level. But based off like what Negz explained, the game level for Loki is gonna be like, let's say, high pro level. Like we can't necessarily quantify it like comparatively to like, let's say, the Copa del Rey or any other shown highest level of play. As such, I don't think you can necessarily compare the two in the sense that Loki's gonna like be comparable to Sai on that basis. So like based off like both of your assertions, like
I can make one final point to suggest that like Julian Loki does play at the highest level of play because he is considered the like above all of the other pro players, as he's like the only one that is consistent to Noah. Like if you can get like 5 minutes, I can make that point.
Well, before you even get into it, like I'm just gonna say that's like a mistranslation, and that's in reference to future. And we also see the fact that Loki specifically indexes him surpassing Noah in the future to Charles, and he specifically says, "When Charles awakens, it won't be far off before I surpass you," which implies that all of this is just gonna be like a future tense statement, and the actual translate, "Yo, ban this guy, dude. This guy's actually so fucking annoying, bro."
We get it, bro. Your mom and dad beat you. We get it. Jesus Christ.
Okay, so if that's the case, right? I would still say that is incorrect because Loki can still be inferior to Noah but still provide him with a challenge, right? And the entire statement is it can't be like applied with the context of like Loki being a future threat, because Loki applies the context of a future threat to Kaiser within that exact statement, and he speaks to Kaiser in a different way than he speaks to Loki.
Yeah, I think that the Kaiser statement is just going to be in reference to even further in the future, because he specifically indexes it to after I settle things with Loki, come try and surpass me, Kaiser. So this is just going to be
y'all need to like. I need to end the live soon, or else I might just get like a permanent restriction. Just how many times have been slurs in here?
It's like 5 minutes. 5 minutes.
Okay, my final closing statement. If I'm not going to speak after this, if you count it as like an auto concession, that's fine. I don't care. So Loki is like the statement is going to be in reference to the future, because it says that the talent that's the biggest threat to me is Loki's. And then we also see the fact that Loki indexes the statement to Charles's awakening and thinks he can only surpass Noah in the future after Charles awakens. 2, I think other players are just going to be blatantly over Loki. For example, Prince is called like the world's number 2 and the closest one to Noah. And then we also know cumulatively that Snuffy is going to be like better than Noah in terms of cumulative skill. So I think all of these players are just probably going to be playing at higher levels than Loki. And as for the other point, which is the side point, I think that it just can't go any further without resulting in circularity, and we just have to conclude there. And that's my closing statement.
Okay, so my final counter to that statement is that the context of saying that like Loki in the future says in the future after our settle things with him, contrast are past me, Kaiser. It just the only thing that it confirms is that the feud, the clash between these two will conclude in the future. It doesn't insinuate that it begins in the future. It suggests that it concludes in the future. So there's no counter argument to saying that it's an ongoing feud now. That is like there's no counter argument to saying that it's an ongoing feud now, especially because Noah uses the words right now. And even if you say like there's a thing about talent is still skill. Like even if you say talent is still skill. It's not potential skill, it's talent. And Noah defines what he means by like a rival. He means like a rival that poses a threat to me, that is an immediate clash against you. So when Loki says right now Loki is a rival posing a threat to me, that is an immediate clash against Noah, and he only defines the conclusion of that to be in the future, meaning that it has to either you'd have to justify that between now and that future it would begin, or that's the only way you'd have to do it. And I don't think you can justify that it has only begun in terms of like between now and the future. And as for like the Chris Prince statements, Chris Prince was held as the number 2 striker in the European survey. However, that was like a year ago, and you can argue that Junior Loki's feats and Junior Loki's like talent only became relevant currently because of the Tokumitsu statement in chapter 82, where chapter 88, where Tokumitsu says that right now Junior Loki is the top rising star, meaning that his statements really apply to a more immediate like right now thing, and like the Chris Prince number 2 statement comes from the list, the European listing that came like a year ago now, and you can argue that's before Loki evolved. Also, the Snuffy statement is in terms of like cumulative skill, but it's not in terms of like striker skill. So Noah says, as a pure striker, he can't hold a candle to me, but in terms of cumulative skill, he's the best in the world. But that is only because that Snuffy is argued to be able to play in every single position. That does not translate specifically to who's better as a striker, who's better as a player, because you play as only one position. And that's why Noah's above all the others. However, even when considering all the others, he says specifically right now, the biggest threat to me is Julian Loki.
Okay, so final thing. He doesn't say the biggest threat to me is Loki. He says the talent that's the biggest threat to me is Loki. And I think that's just going to be in reference to future tense, which is, again, you didn't really address the Charles statement, and that's it. We can just conclude here.
I just said that the Charles statement can imply that that you can still be like inferior to a player and still challenge them. So Charles saying that like the day where I'll surpass you won't be too far off. It just only proves that Loki is inferior to Noah, which yes we know, but like you can still pose a threat to somebody if you are inferior to them. That doesn't mean that you can't pose a threat to them. But anyways, Primus can conclude it.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie. This specific point is like gonna be incon. I'm not gonna lie. I don't think like either of you like tip the stage like to your either side. It's pretty inconclusive. Also, you guys been doing conclusions very wrong. I'm not gonna lie this entire time.
Yeah. Just
this is a poor man's debate, but it's whatever.
Just leave it here. Leave it here.
Because listen, you guys somewhat confuse like final points and then conclusions. Like in conclusions, like you're meant to say like you're meant to describe the debate itself rather than like topics. You bring up new points to contend the other prior point that your opponent gave.
Well, I mean,
so,
we make closing statements, not really conclusions, but we can just conclude here. You just judge like based on points.
I will say this one thing: Loki does have a World Cup win. That's all I'll say.
Yeah, I mean, realistically, I'm gonna say this specific one is like inconclusive. As such, based on that, it's the Psy thing. Like Psy has we already agreed to the notion that he's gonna be playing at the highest possible game level. Because even if we let's say grant this statement that Loki poses the highest threat to Noah currently, and then we affirm Loki's gonna be the world's number 2, then you still agree to the notion that he's gonna be inherently inferior to Noah. As such, we can't necessarily prescribe some type of, I guess, comparability in terms of the highest possible game level. So kind of
Yeah. So who do you think wins? Right?
Marv, I'm not gonna lie.
It's a poor man's debate, but it's whatever.
I'm saying.
GG's, that's how it is. GG's.
Next.